pros and cons are for the path ahead. They got the box out of there.
Did they put it back?
They got it out.
No, I was the one that took it out.
Yeah, so that's removed. Now it's just a matter of what these,
Yeah, because that's in the, BDW building, up on the second floor there.
appreciate it. What's going on?
Well, 6:30, call this meeting to order. Y'all stand. Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Katie, call the roll, please.
Baker.
Here.
Bilk. Cox.
Here.
Perzone. Hutchinson. Olson.
Here.
Pyatt.
Here.
Upholzer. Wood.
Here.
Please just a reminder to make sure your microphones are on.
Okay, is there a motion to excuse absent members?
Motion to approve. Support.
Excuse, yeah, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. Okay, is there public comment for matters? Take a moment here. and
Yeah,
turn
I
it over
just
to Jane.
wanted to introduce, we have a new planner with us this evening, summer and a fall, and she just started with us last week and is here to meet you all and just join us this evening. So I want to thank her for being here. Thank you for letting me introduce you all to her.
Welcome, Summer.
Every place is downhill once you leave Gibraltar, just saying.
And since we're going into public comments, is there anything you'd like to say while you're being introduced, or?
Sure, yeah, this is my first, okay, I'll approach the bench. Sorry. Yeah, thank you for having me. This is my first time in Gibraltar, and I would just want to let you know this is a beautiful community, and it seems very lively. I saw a lot of kids playing, so a beautiful place to be, so thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being here. Okay, are there any public comments on matters on the agenda? No. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve. Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, agenda's approved. Okay, now next is approval of the previous meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No? Okay, minutes approved. Okay, acknowledgement of correspondence. We don't have any correspondence. So, public comments for matters not on the agenda?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
All right. Jane, you have to let me know if I get out of line as a planning commissioner. Last month, we collectively agreed to kind of put to bed the idea of changing the zoning in the C3 district and part of the DDA. I personally feel that it may be a mistake, and I just want to explain a little bit why. As I brought up a month ago, we have a lot of future infrastructure costs. We depend heavily on grants. And I was just reading today, if the proposed budget cuts go through, the EPA is going to be cut by 54%. And reading an article today about how it will affect Michigan, it will affect 90% of the state's revolving funds related to water management. That's stormwater, that's wastewater treatment facilities, and lead line replacements. We depend heavily on these grant dollars for larger projects. And then if any of you watched the council meeting, last week, our treasurer was baffled why this body decided to put it to sleep. What he doesn't know is we're not aware of what these future costs are going to be. And what I would like to suggest, and I would even, be like the person that'll do it, I would like to find out what our proposed infrastructure plans are for the next 5, 10 years, and get an idea, you know, through our treasurer and stuff, and maybe Rick, of what it actually is gonna cost this city, because I don't know if we can afford to not take every advantage that there is to try to grow our tax revenue here. It's not like we got acreages where we could build new subdivisions. And, you know, and I was a little worried about maybe I'd be out of line by bringing this up today, but just reading about the EPA proposed budget cuts is enough to make me nervous over, you know, how are we gonna be able to afford to do things 2 years from now, 3 years from now? So I guess what I'm suggesting is not put it to bed, but let's wait and get more information and maybe have someone be able to bring it back to this body for reevaluation. I just don't want to put it to sleep and say we're not going to discuss it anymore. Just,
So that
Like the-
information you're talking about, is that something you can share with us so we can,
well, that would be the plan. You know, I don't know what we have going in the future, you know, as far as, you know, lead lines, you know, our roads, our water management stuff. But what I do know is this here is going to, you know, these state revolving funds are going to go to mainly whatever's left of it to at-risk communities. They're going to consider us as a wealthy community, and they may not want to give us anything.
oh, I mean, that link, I mean, whatever you're.
Oh, yeah, I'll send that to you.
Okay, great.
But I just think we should keep the door open.
Well, I'd like to understand then the proposed revenue it could bring in.
Right, and
Because
that's part of
I've
it.
been looking at assessments, and all assessments aren't created equal around here.
No.
So there's a lot of areas that we should be making more money on that we're not.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're gonna give it away, then why do it?
Yeah.
So
No,
we
I
have to
agree.
understand the revenue at the same time.
You know, just my thoughts when I was writing stuff down here, you know, I got, okay, what are these infrastructure costs? What's the potential tax revenue? What's the potential cost to our public services? Because it may need more police, more fire. You know, so it's not like it's a one-sided thing where money's flowing one way. It's gonna cost the city something too for it. And then, you know, how does this affect our city's long-term plans, our master plan? And basically, to me, it's kind of like only fair to balance the interests of the community, the developers, the landowners, you know, and it's just, I think there's too much involved with a little town like ours to just say, well, you know, we just don't like the idea and we're not gonna discuss it
And
anymore.
you're still gotta remember that the survey went around, and that was, the vote kind of supported the survey of the residents. So you're gonna go against a lot of the input from the city
Well-
residents, and unless we understand it well and can explain it well.
Well, that's the thing. I don't believe in populism. I think we're here to do what we feel is the best thing for the city, and not everybody's gonna be happy. There's gonna be some people that, well, if somebody decides to develop something in a marina, yeah, we're gonna have residents that aren't happy about it. But are the same residents gonna be any happier if all of a sudden now we gotta have a millage increase because we can't afford to put new storm lines in, new sanitary lines? Are we gonna have special assessments in communities? We got retention ponds that don't get maintained. You know, are we gonna have a special assessment for people that just live around and use that retention
But
pond?
again, are 20 residential condos gonna fund all that? No.
Right.
You're gonna get a small portion of what's in the city. The people are still gonna pay, it might be a percentage less.
And I agree with you, Jim. I guess all I'm asking is we need further research. We need, you know, to use Garrett's term, he wants more data. We need more data, I think.
Did you want to add
Yeah.
something to this conversation?
Yeah, I love the dialogue. A couple of things. One is, Commissioner Baker, to your point, as a follow-up to our last planning and DDA, you all should have received an email from me, and that was sent via Clerk Tomasic. One of the items that I put in that email was a summary of our strategic priorities. We've taken exhaustive inventory of all of our priority areas for the city of Gibraltar, one of those pillars being infrastructure, other pillar being stormwater and flood control. So I encourage every commission member to take a critical look at that because it clearly lays out all of our strategic needs that we've identified within this administration as we've taken inventory over the last year and a half plus. The second item is we built our infrastructure advisory committee from the starting line with the goal of having a group of experts, elected and appointed officials coming together, inclusive of residents at large, to dissect our infrastructure And so that will be another document that I will share as a follow-up. Some of it's already incorporated in the strategic priorities I sent to you. But if you watch some of our recent council meetings, we've done pretty exhaustive review of some of those areas, including the action required on those areas. So Commissioner Baker, the good news is we have a very clear inventory of our need, and we have financial hypotheses as it relates to that need. And that will be good for everybody to take a look at. Because as I alluded to in the previous discussion and at our council meeting, we approved our budget. The good news is the last 2 budget cycles, we did reduce our millage. We do have a high general fund balance, higher than we've ever had, and we do have higher revenue than we've ever had. But it's not going to solve the long-term problem. And there's a lot of deficiency and neglect that we cannot afford in our current capacity. So while we've chipped away, right, 3 water mains in the last year and a half, road activities, albeit much more required, sewer lining work, et cetera, the need is incredibly large. And Commissioner Baker, you raise a very good point, which is how do we unlock dollars? Because there's only so much we're getting from our broader elected official partners, like Congresswoman Dingell and Senator Peters got us $1 million for that water main, but that's only going to go so far. It only chops a section of that West Jefferson water main out. So in summary, you're spot on from a infrastructure need. The inventory has been taken, and we'll share all that document with commission members beyond what we've already shared with you on May 27th. The second thing I wanted to call out, which is something that was relevant to the topic at hand, as Commissioner Bilk had mentioned, I met with our assessor following our last planning and DDA meeting because a lot of discussion around assessments, taxable values. So I want you to know that I'm awaiting an inventory of taxable assessment considerations across our city that will help us understand current state, focus on commercial and residential, so that we can not only understand where we're at today, but to Commissioner Bilk's point, if there's anything that needs to be addressed, to give us the opportunity to take a look at that within our administration. And it will give you a coherent understanding of where our taxable revenues sit and where there might be impact or adjustment that needs to be made over the near to long term.
Is there a way to splice that data as you look at it, like R1 tax revenue, R2 tax revenue?
Yeah, we can do a lot of
Can you splice it by zoning areas?
Yeah, we can do a lot of analytics on it. I think right now.
Tied to it or not?
Yeah, so absolutely, we'll be able to geographically analyze it, or zoning ordinance related analyze it. I think right now we're just getting a data set around commercial or business revenue relative to residential revenues, and any sort of dissection of that information we can as a part of one of many things we're trying to do just to take inventory in current state. So stay tuned for that analysis, but I think that will help elicit some kind of data point on where we currently sit. If you recall in our last discussion, in this administration, we have not raised taxes for residents. Obviously, there's a broader legal obligation, a law obligation related to other factors that produce an annual increase. We talked about that last time, so it won't be redundant. But I think between the inventory and then the tax assessment kind of considerations, you'll have a good data set to look at. The last piece of it is I will absolutely make sure we work with our assessor to come back with more details around different considerations, whether it be the dwelling units in the Marina District, and then the taxable assessment considerations with those, meaning the trade-offs between a commercial or a residential unit and how that relates to the tax revenue. So that way it'll help further inform the decision. But thank you for raising it, and I want to provide a couple of those details. And I'll speak to some other follow-ups later when we get to DDA topics.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
Wayne Brennan, 30490 South Gibraltar Road. There are people living in 13400, 13300, and I've been informed there's somebody living in another building over there already, and it's not even supposed to be there. I mean, what, if you guys even said you don't want it,
You're talking about,
the last police chief told them not to quit building over there. They just kept going,
You mean
and now
like-
they moved in.
when you said those addresses, do you mean over
Humbug Marina.
Humbug Marina? Okay, the one.
The
on
300, the main
Gibraltar
building,
over
there's
there?
people
Yeah.
living there. 400's a commercial building. There's people living in there, and I heard there's another building back in there. I've heard somebody's moved in there also. I don't know that one for a fact, but I know the other two, there's certainly people living there. See them all the time in and out.
City administrator said there was somebody in there in 250. That's the building he's talking about.
So, I mean, there shouldn't be anybody living in there. I mean, you guys said you don't want it. The city's been known about it for quite a while. Nobody's doing anything. Thank you.
Wayne, I think it's important though, just to level set, because you and I spoke about this. We have, our Director of Public Safety and our ordinance officer have been involved. Our attorney's been involved and the courts have been involved on those situations. So I'm glad to share the follow-up information, but I believe I shared that with you. So just commission members, just so you know, that is not something that has been ignored. That is something that has been enforced by our Department of Public Safety, with the courts and with our city attorney.
Okay, so it's currently being worked.
It's currently in the legal process and with our Department of Public Safety. So the city has done everything they can on an enforcement perspective at this point in time.
Okay, thank you for adding that to the meeting. Are there any other public comments on matters not on the agenda? No? Okay, moving on. There's no unfinished business. New business, the first thing we have is the sign review, and I will turn this over to Jane to brief us on the review she did on Charlie's marine canvas and upholstery signs.
Thank you. Yes, so this proposal is for 2 signs, one wall sign affixed next to the entrance of the building, and one projecting sign at 13250 Middle Gibraltar. The wall sign is approximately, and you can see in your packet in the application, it's approximately 18 inches by 18 inches, and the projecting sign coming from the corner of the building is stated at 36 inches tall and 60 inches wide. I did drive by there. I will just editorially add that it doesn't seem like it's 60 inches wide, but that's for just anecdotal evidence. So in terms of the wall sign affixed to the entrance, or next to the entrance of the building, that sign meets the requirements. One wall sign is allowed. The wall sign is 3 square feet in size, and it meets all of the requirements. The projecting sign, however, though, is not allowed to project more than 18 inches from the face of the building, and it is supposed to project parallel to the building, and therefore, if it's 60 inches from the building right now and not necessarily parallel to the wall of the building either. So those are the items for your consideration. The design does seem to incorporate the nautical theme, but as always, that's an item of discussion for the Planning Commission as well. Happy to answer any further questions about that projecting sign or wall sign.
So projecting, you're talking about the one that's 5 foot long, is that hanging from the post in
That's
the corner
correct.
there? Does it make a difference as far as approach to the building, how they see the sign? Is that the reason why it's on the corner? Maybe they see it from 2 locations, or?
I would assume
Come
that
in,
that
in
was,
and out of JP's there, you can,
Like in that little
it's in the
corner.
Would you
driveway
like
to
to say
JP's.
anything? Okay, sure, come on up and. No, not at all.
Don't have to. Yeah, I'm Charlie. That's my assistant and partner, Nita. We're very, actually, I want to apologize to the council and to the board that we didn't approach you beforehand. We weren't aware. We have been looking for probably, 6 months for a location for our business concept. And we combed everywhere from LaSalle, Michigan, all the way to Gibraltar. And when we got to Gibraltar, we ran upon a situation that seemed optimal for not only our business, but for the owners of the marina and for the community at large. We want to be a benefit to the community. We want to repair things. We want to improve things. We want to bring value back to your boats. It's not about making money only or having a business. We want to work long hours and repair things and make them worthwhile for the investment that's being put into them. Most everyone who lives in Gibraltar either has a boat or knows someone who has a boat. So I think it's a big issue for Gibraltar. I'm no judge of it, but I think that we can make an impression upon Gibraltar that will be positive. That was the whole thing we did with Humbug, was we were looking for a mutuality that would bring benefit to all that situation. So that's pretty much what we did. The answer to the sign coming out from the building, yes, it was to possibly project more so that when someone stops at the stop sign, they cannot help but see the sign. I'll be honest about that. And it was my request to do that. I didn't realize I had to go before the board to do that. I apologize for that. I was just trying to follow the lease agreements that were there with Humbug. And most of them I followed. I beg your forbearance with me about the projecting. So if we, no. If there's any other questions, we're here, and we'd be glad to answer any.
Is that sign 60 inches long?
I gave them measurement on it. I think it was under that, but when I purchased it through Fast Signs in Monroe, they wanted to know, do you want us to put it up or yourself? I said, no, the marina they have rules. And we knew about that. We knew about the nautical theme, and certain requirements. So we knew about that part of it. But I said, no, we'll do the hanging. And, but we didn't. The marina did. They were gracious enough to help us with that. And so we were just trying to be in compliance with whatever it told us to do, whatever the lease told us we could do. And it has to be on the man door or next to the man door or above the man door. So we understood what had to be done. So projecting was always in question. We weren't sure about that. Or we certainly didn't do it to disobey in any way. We don't want to do that. We want to be in compliance. We don't want to attract attention in a negative way at all. That's not our purpose at all. So, also we have two entryways, a man door and a main door that we bring boats in and out of. We try to maintain our business so that those driveways are not blocked and that they convey that open street without any impedance or, difficulty. I don't let people hang out there or, keep their stuff there or anything like that. If it's not being worked on, we want it moved out. We won't have any of that. There won't be any kind of garbage there ever. We're a very clean operation too. Am I covering it okay? Have I not bring up anything you want to say? Yeah, I mean, we're open to any questions that you have. I appreciate the
Lynn, have
opportunity
any
to speak.
questions? Well,
Yeah, I can't tell, looking at is that sign projecting at a 45 from the corner?
Yeah, I believe so, because when he designed, him being John, one of their employees, designed it, he came upon the problem, would he be able to go into the infrastructure of the building or just into the outer, shell of the building? And so he had to look into that, something that would be supportive enough to be safe for anybody. I think another question came up, does it impede anything? No, we made sure that it did not do that. In fact, there's enough area of the curb there in gravel that something could be placed underneath it even, to keep people from being underneath the sign if it's better, if it's more appropriate for the board to have something like that. We'd have no problem with that. We don't plan to use that area at all, just the doorway is all we use, the driveway. So to get the boats in and out. We plan on working 6 days a week. We want to have 4 boats inside and maybe 3 outside waiting eventually. We don't have our employees yet, so we're just the 2 of us, and we do a pretty good amount of work in there for what we have going on. So, but everything in there is either electrical. There's no open flame. There's nothing. There's no. We were told in the lease that there can't be any gasolines. We don't have anything gas powered in there. We're definitely not living in there. There's no living anything. There's some seating for the customers. We live in Monroe, in an apartment.
There's no chemical in there?
No.
We don't use it.
We'd love to live here in Gibraltar someday, hopefully.
Okay.
Yep, thank you very much, appreciate it.
it's a nice sign. It doesn't meet the requirements. So,
Jane, is there what would be the reason to limit it to 18 inches?
I think it's primarily aesthetic is my assumption of why Because you can make a structurally sound sign that projects more than 18 inches from a building. It's not, it doesn't necessitate that it's going to fall or be a safety concern. I obviously wasn't here when they wrote that requirement, so
Right, I know,
yeah,
right.
that would be my guess.
So, sign is up, and it doesn't meet our requirements. It is a nice sign. What does the board think of this? We can't approve this because it doesn't meet the requirements. It could go to the Board of Appeals, because it is a nice sign. I think in and of itself, the sign is not a nice sign.
I know it's kind of high. When I went through there the other day, I thought, whoa.
Yeah.
It's almost to the top of the building.
I think it's 13 foot or something to the bottom, it says.
Humboldt was concerned about larger boats, tall boats.
Going underneath it.
Yeah, because originally I wanted to go even higher, not knowing that I couldn't. That was the determined height that would be safe for most boats going through there. That's what was going on.
I don't know, just of my opinion, I actually think the sign would stand out more if it was on the wall versus hanging from that metal post. It's just my opinion, I could probably drive through there 4 or 5 times before I see it, aren't they? Yeah. That's why I'm asking if it's on a 45, because if it's straight out from the back of the building, you're not gonna see that sign until you pull up to that stop sign anyhow.
Now, it's on 45, straight out from the corner of the building.
So you can see it on both sides.
That was the intention, so you can see it on either side of the stop sign. We have no plans for any future signs either. I don't know if I said anything about that, but we're not planning any future signage in any way. Just wanted to get, the primary things that we do are upholstery and canvassing. That's what we want to get out there.
So, I mean, at this point, one sign does meet the requirements, so someone could make a motion to approve that sign, but this sign does not. So what would the options be? Go to Board of Appeals or the ordinance officer, since it's already up, which I don't think we want to go the second route.
Yeah, the applicant could decide to change the sign to bring it into compliance, install it as a freestanding sign potentially, or go to the Board of Appeals. Obviously, the Planning Commission does have discretion in the decision process as well, but you are correct, it does not meet the zoning ordinance standards at this time.
It is on a private drive. It's
Yeah.
not on the street. It ain't like a storefront. It's back in the private property.
Got to be going in there to see it.
And you can't have one on either side, both sides, correct?
Correct.
Has to be one sign.
Has to be one sign.
I don't think it looks bad at all.
No, I think it looks nice, but are we setting the wrong precedence if we approve it and it doesn't meet the requirements and they weren't sent to the Board of Appeals? Is there a motion? Does the applicant want to change the sign in any way?
I would come in compliance with whatever the board decided.
My concern, is because, people in and out of there. And that was another one, we put it up so nobody would get hurt. Cars, whatever.
Can they turn it and just attach it to the side of the building?
Yeah.
They would just have to put some structural runners across to attach to.
Seems
If
like
you
that'd
could take it and just put it on the side.
be the only way to,
Stated in the lease that we couldn't do that, so that's why I never really.
Oh, really?
It said it either had to be above the man door, on the man door, or it could be discussed. That was the only options I had.
Didn't the owner of the property tell you guys had to come in front of the board?
No, they said that there may be some, how do they explain it? Special concessions or requirements, but they would
But if you wanted to mount that sign on the building wall, you're saying that the owner tells you, no, you can't do that.
Well, the lease tells me no, but I would not do anything, you know, whatever the lease floor says, that's what I'm gonna do. That's the only way to keep my lease. And haven't made the first payment yet, so I definitely don't wanna lose it yet. Yeah.
So it has to be by the door, according to your lease.
Right. I took upon myself to do the entrance thing because a lot of people were going in and out of the large garage door and I felt it was dangerous. So I put up a little chain and a caution sign saying, you know, please don't enter here, enter in the man door kind of thing. That's why I put the entrance sign out next to the door, to be frank about it. I didn't want anybody, we were concerned about people.
Just coming in,
Yeah.
you know.
We're fully insured and
boats
so is the
in
marina. but-
inside.
Yeah, you don't want people.
Got into it, so
Again, we entered that over and over.
So,
So is there a motion?
Jane, is the discretion going to be to the zoning, if this commission was to allow this, right? It would still have to go in front of the zoning board for approval because of nonconformance?
No, it would just be approved at that point.
Okay. Thank you.
would we be better off not approving it and let them come to the zoning board? Who's on the zoning board of appeals?
Me.
You know, because then if it gets approved, it's basically legal
Done deal.
non-conforming.
It's grandfathered
Yeah,
in
'cause
with
it-
that property.
Well, there has to
Stays with that
show,
property.
well, there's, I don't know, the verbiage, Jane, but
Yeah, there-
hardship or.
A
there's couple
practical
criterias.
difficulty or a hardship. and-
Because they can use the argument in the lease agreement that, you know, this is really the only place I could put it.
And if it came to, I guess it came to the zoning board and the landowner, property owner said, you can't mount it anywhere else other than this spot, then maybe that is a hardship.
Right.
But then he has to pay another $250, which I don't think is fair to go in front of the zoning board. So if it came to that, I think we waive that fee. He already paid $250 to come here and talk to us, in my opinion.
We can't waive the fee. Is there any way, like,
Be up to probably mayor and council to waive the fee.
Maybe it's just me, but it's just to talk about a sign twice. to
i-
pay
is there a
$500.
motion? Is there a motion? We have one sign that meets the requirements, one that does not. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Being the location where it's at, back in private property, I'll make a motion to approve them both as is.
I second it.
This is leave it as is?
Yes.
For the motion's sake, would you like to add something about waiving the
Not
requirements?
meeting non-conforming to city.
Okay, but you're approving, motion to approve, okay.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I'm in favor. Based on your lease agreement.
Okay, yep. You're welcome.
Good luck.
Nice sign.
You guys get a vote, whatever you want.
Oh, well, I'm sure several of us will be around.
Okay. Okay, next on the agenda, excuse me, is the Planning Commission training resources. And Jane has put together some good information on this, so I'll turn it over to Jane.
Yeah, thank you. As we discussed previously, there was a request to understand the training resources available to the commission, as well as what trainings we can provide the commission. So I wanted to kind of give a overview of everything that's available, both to you as a commission altogether and as individual board members. The training packet highlights resources from the Michigan Municipal League, the Michigan Association of Planning, the American Planning Association, and the Michigan State University Extension. I want to kind of start by highlighting that the Michigan State University Extension Citizen Planner Program is, for those of you who might really want to dive in deep into the, real intricacies of being a planning commissioner and planning as a topic in the community, the Citizen Planner Program is a fantastic opportunity to do so. They were providing online version of the course, and they also provide in-person, like over the weekend type of workshop as well. The American Planning Association also provides kind of a online learning subscription if the city were to interested in investing in that, and it provides webinars, on-demand videos on pretty much every planning topic that you could imagine, from the nuts and bolts all the way to kind of emerging technologies.
Is that a cost per person, or does the city get one license that everybody can use?
I think you would buy a license if there would be a shared login and can utilize it that way. I don't know the cost off the top of my head. The webinars that can be utilized, I mean, as a group, but also individually through the Michigan Municipal League, might be of interest for all of the boards and commissions are the Open Meetings Act, the Freedom of Information Act, and Local Government 101. Those are great resources just to kind of understand your role as a board in local government as elected and appointed officials. The Michigan Association of Planning has more planning-specific topics from asset management, zoning administration, woodland preservation, environmental planning, DDAs, and even a signage guidebook package. So if you want to get deeper into the signs, you could do that. There are opportunities to provide workshops here at City Hall for you all. I've listed some that McKenna has done in the past for other clients. It's not an exhaustive list, and we can tailor our training to whatever your needs might be. The Michigan Municipal League also offers something similar around high-functioning leadership, parliamentary procedures, everything that goes into a meeting and essentials of local government. Again, I recommend those are investments the community makes for all of your boards. You would hold a joint meeting and have everyone there for those, and they can be really valuable resources. And then Michigan Association of Planning can also do a really in-depth training on zoning board of appeals, site plan review, planning commissioner toolkit, risk management, master planning process, zoning administration, and the planning and zoning essentials. I've also just highlighted some conferences that are available if any of the commissioners are interested in attending those. The other communities, eventually budget for a small, modest training budget for commissioners, and that can be kind of an application if you have a lot of people who want to go and maybe you can't support everyone. But usually those conferences are not an exceptionally expensive training opportunity. I have kind of outlined maybe a training plan that I would like to discuss with you all for the next couple of months through the end of 2025, with the idea that we would be incorporating a short-ish training at each of your planning commission meetings and going over some of these basics that we were talking about. The planning and zoning kind of introductory kind of course would be potentially in July. I don't know how you all feel about that. I know it's summer and everyone wants to be outside, so maybe we wait till the fall. I have held off on an August training because I hope at that point we'll have a zoning ordinance to talk with you about, and I know that will be a lengthy conversation. But these are kind of the basics that I think we should definitely proceed with, whether or not we start in July or later in the year. And then into site plan review, special land use review, and then just risk management in terms of when you're making a decision, you're not opening yourself up for lawsuit or some sort of legal action. So happy to discuss this, but wanted to give you resources in the meantime that you can explore on your own, as well as a path forward for us all to hopefully work on together.
I'm fine with the July planning zoning. I mean, I'm sure we can squeeze 45 minutes in somewhere.
This is all stuff you would put on?
Yes, yeah.
So what do you need from us then? Do you need funding, or is it no funding?
I mean, I think we can figure out with the city administration and the mayor, the funding aspect. I will keep this as efficient as possible, so we'll provide a packet, go over that, and part of that, being at your normal meeting, we won't be duplicating costs with a separate trip out here, et cetera.
But we would
But
need to get
I
that
just wanna
approved
make s-
first, right? The funding would need to be,
Yeah, look, you have my unanimous support. I think this is a very targeted, very practical, very relevant set of training that you can align to the existing planning and DDA meetings as you've
Yeah.
described. Perhaps it could be a situation where you show up 45 minutes after or carry the meeting 45 minutes later. These meetings are not exhaustively long. August, just to make sure you're clear on what she was referring to, we're working hard on the zoning ordinance committee with that 50,000 we got. And we hope to come back to you with a baked thought process in August. So that's why you don't see one in August. But we will make sure to get this funded. Obviously, I have to lean on my council peers to make sure we have support across the majority. But we'll make sure we get you funded, in my opinion. There's a lot of support for training and education. I think this is very practical, very targeted, and the juice is worth the squeeze. So I would say if planning and DDA signals that they're on board with this plan, then we can work on the specifics offline.
yeah, I think it's a great idea, and I think the classes that she selected are very, comprehensive and be good for the board to take. Is there a motion? Do we need a motion?
I don't know that you need a formal motion, as long as everyone's willing to spend 45 minutes more at their meeting with me, then I think we'll move forward.
Okay, I mean, is there any opposition to moving forward with these classes? Is there anyone that wouldn't be able to stay an extra 45 minutes for each meeting?
Be good. As long as it hits a meeting night, everybody's here,
Yeah,
We would have to put that time on the end, though. Would that matter to anybody? Because sometimes I don't know when I'll get off of work, so.
I just add it to,
with that same sentiment.
try and add it to agenda or something, that, so we all know what day it's gonna be, or
Yeah.
put it out in advance.
Let's do this. I'm seeing nothing but support from the commission members. So Jane, why don't we work with you offline to get a cost
Yes, absolutely.
nailed down? Finance Director McEwen's here with me, so I'll make sure to work with her on the cost and the allocation, and then if I need to get it to council, I will do that. Clerk Tomasic, any feedback? You've done awesome work on the training front. Any feedback from your
I
end?
think it's great.
Okay, cool.
okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for putting that together. Appreciate that. All right, unfinished business. Oh, sorry, wrong agenda. Postponed and referred items, there are none. Commissioner Forum. Anything for Commissioner Forum? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Opposed? Okay, meeting is adjourned.
Well, long time no talk. I'd like to call the Downtown Development Authority meeting into order. And with that, since we've already done our Pledge of Allegiance, I will pass it to Clerk Tomasic to please call roll.
Schumate,
Here.
Baker,
Here.
Bilk,
Here.
Cox,
Yes.
Frisone, Hutchinson, Olson,
Here.
Hyatt, Upholzer, Wood.
Here.
Is there a motion to excuse absent commission members?
Motion to excuse.
Do we have a second?
Support. Oh,
Clerk Tomasic, do you have what you need there? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. This time I'd like to welcome our public. Is there any public comment this evening? We already got the introduction. Thank you for being here. Jane, thanks for having her here. With that, I'd like to close public comment, for which we have none at this point in time. Keep in mind, we have a approved agenda, hopefully in front of you, but I want to look for a motion to approve the agenda that's been submitted to planning and DDA members this evening. Is there a motion to approve this evening's agenda as in front of you?
motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, well, with an approved agenda, let's dive into approval of previous meeting minutes. You'll see item A is DDA minutes of 5/20/2025. Is there a motion to approve item A, DDA minutes of 5/20/2025?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Bilk, second by Wood. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion is carried. I'm excited because we have Finance Director McEwen here. Finance Director McEwen, thanks for taking the time out of your evening to be with us. And I want to just call attention to the commission members as a setup for this. In the last, we'll get to item A and B. In the last meeting, we had some really good discussion about budget and some of the questions you had. So I want to make sure we can weave that into the discussion this evening because it's very relevant to what's been input in your packet. Before we get there, just a broader context, the follow-up items that you got via email, one of which I was mentioning was a strategic priority list. You also got a financial breakdown on the ATV, which has been secured. So we're very excited about that. Thank you for the contribution of DDA. But that will give you the financial breakdown across the overall purchase amount. You also got a note around signs and the associated enforcement, and I attached email threads on that. So commission members, we took inventory of all the signs that potentially were out of compliance, and our Director of Public Safety and our ordinance officer have exchanged some pathway considerations for getting that up to speed, and obviously some of that may come in front of commission members as appropriate, but I wanted you to have the inventory and some of the ongoing enforcement and communication, so that was attached. You also got the budget positioning request, and so Finance Director McEwen's here, and obviously we can have her comment on any of these items as we review them. You got projects related to bond within the DDA and the associated progress of those. So I just want to give you the context of that in addition to the resident survey we mentioned, because let's jump into item A. Item A is our full year 2024-2025 DDA budget as of 6/13/25, current year through 6/30/2025. I want to call your attention to that, and we'd be looking for a motion to receive and file that acknowledgement of correspondence.
Motion to receive and file.
Is there a second?
Support.
On that note, as we look at this, is there any discussion, any questions you have? Because I want to make sure that before we take our vote, we can clarify any questions. Again, obviously, I set up a little bit of the context, and Finance Director McEwen can join me at the podium if there's anything you have questions about.
Just a question on the bond proceeds. Is that money we're getting from the state, or is that something that comes out of a bond that we took out in taxes?
Do you want to come up, Finance Director McEwen? So question, did you hear the question okay?
Yep. That is the bond that we took out to do the water main line down Gibraltar Road. We had funds left over from that, which then they advertised to get other projects that we could use it for.
Okay, so we roll it in.
Yeah, so then when I say the bank balance, that's exactly, I have to keep it all in its own little fund. And when I do your guys' little budget, I look at that and make sure that I have up-to-date, complete information on that's exactly what's in there.
Okay, thank you.
So,
And obviously, this is quite probably explicit in your packet, but I wanted to call your attention. One of the requests was to summarize all the ongoing projects and then showcase where we are with the projects, and then showcase the overall dollar amount sitting within that bond remaining fund allocation. So I won't go into exhaustive. I just wanted to make sure you saw the 8 priority projects here that are listed, the status of each of those projects, some of which are actively in flight, some of which have already been approved on a financial perspective or a replacement perspective. And so what you're going to see is, and all these meetings to come, we'll give you these updates, and you'll see that that dollar amount in the account is going to start going down, obviously, as we incur the cost of these projects. So I just want to stop there. Is there any questions? Is this meeting, at least the initial follow-up from our last meeting, as far as giving you a little more clarity on what we're doing, where they are, and what the dollar amount remaining in the pool is?
Did we talk about at last meeting, we were gonna add the proposed spending times in there, where we're gonna say when we're gonna spend that fund? You know, like we're planning to spend in August this much and that much in
Yeah,
November.
so like specific calendarization on,
We talked about that, didn't we?
we did. I think at this point, we have the project status on there. I don't, Finance Director McEwen, I don't know if you have any initial reaction for the commission members. On, for example, when you think, based on project status, when approximately, these would be best case estimates, when approximately we think we would hit those dollar spend. And if not, we can take it as a follow-up. I hear where you're coming from. I think in some cases it's hard to target exactly
We
that.
just have some columns over with some months and say minus, 100,000 minus 300.
As like a general target.
Yeah, just like a general, then at the end, you actually used that money.
Transparently, as I look at it, like, so number one, obviously, is very obvious, right? Because it's been approved. But for some of these, I don't know, we can take that as an action.
Maybe it's too much.
Finance Director, we have to spend the surplus bond proceeds by when?
I said by May 31st.
Of
Of 2026. So we're a year out from the,
Authorization for the $900,000 is that we're planning on utilizing those funds prior to that
Yeah.
date.
you know your
Don't incur
deadline.
penalties.
And Commissioner Bilk, just, I mean, being blunt, right? The projects we have are gonna soak up those funds, and many of them.
Are you kidding?
So like, let's just call it what it is. And the bids, you know, in these projects, they're obviously like in motion, right? So, as far as specific months that will hit, we can obviously evolve the information and be as confident as we can and present it to commission, but,
Okay.
so we'll take this in action. Where we can calendarize it, we will for you. But, we got some costly projects in this list that will start eating up those funds quite quickly. And I find confidence because we have bids due and, projects that are already in flight or completed amongst the list, so. I don't have any reservations on, meeting that deadline, but Commissioner Cox, anything you,
Fully intend on
yeah.
meeting that deadline.
And we,
That's gonna be my question. Do you think,
Yeah.
do you see any of these falling behind at this point?
I do not. Commissioner Bill, or, anybody else have anything to add there? Commissioner Cox?
I would like to say, no, I don't feel that they're behind, but it takes an effort to keep them moving in the right direction, so.
Agreed. And, you know, just like, let's give you an example, right? So, number one, locked and loaded. Number two, in flight, bids due June 26th. Number three, in flight, bids due June 26th. I mean, those three alone are significant expenditures. Take other ones that are example, like, the roofs, right? So, without going into exhaustive detail, we had a path to replace the roofs. Then we found out that maybe there's a more viable path to repair the roofs. So we're looking at even like shifting the course as we've gotten more evolved information, and you'll see that come through. So, the road replacement, for the Frank and Poet Drain, walking bridge, right? Again, like we have in-flight process. So I have a high level of confidence in all the projects. I don't see any of them stalling, and we have a year to hit those dollar spends.
And I've been writing people to make sure they don't stall as
Agreed.
well.
All right, I'm gonna ask a dumb question, just because
Please.
I don't know. So say 3 of these things fell behind and we didn't spend that money, what happens with that money?
I think out of the priority list, what my hypothesis is that we will spend all the funds before we hit all of the projects. So I think we have more projects than we have dollars, is my perspective, but Commissioner Cox,
I
what's
would
your?
concur.
So the short answer is some of these projects may not come to fruition under the scope of the bond, for which you have to pursue alternate funds. But we put the list together exhaustively so we could knock as many of them out with the funds based on the prioritization that we went through. Any other questions before we take roll? I just want to make sure we had a good discussion here because it's a really important one. All right, so just to remind you, you had a motion to receive and file, you had a second to receive and file, we had a good discussion. So all in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? All right, motion carried. Next item is item B, full year 2025-2026 DDA budget as of 6/13/2025, and this is for upcoming year starting 7/1/2025. We'll do the same approach, so we need a motion to receive and file.
Motion to receive and file.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Wood. Now it's open for discussion, and we can follow the same model. Any questions for Finance Director McEwen or I that we can provide clarity on?
Yeah, I have a question. Go back to the bond,
Yeah.
the work we're doing with the bond funds. I'm thinking that this is not in priority order, correct? Could it be put in priority order? Just so we can kind of keep our eye on, okay, how is the progress with the top priority? Or is it-
That's fair. So we had an exhaustive list that we put the priority 8. So to your point, it's not sequential and number 1 being the highest priority. These are the top 8 that make the threshold. And again, keep in mind that we're not gonna be able to accomplish all 8 with the bond funds, but we had a much larger list. So that's the way I recall the
That's why I
prioritization.
was wondering, can we put these in order so if things start to drop off, we can just track, is it dropping off from the bottom?
I think that's absolutely reasonable to the extent we can. I mean, and I think the most logical order is where they are falling in the current execution phase,
Oh,
right?
okay.
So meaning like 1, 2, 3, 5, 8 are all actively in flight and progressing, right? So that would be, in my opinion, a logical way to prioritize these. is-
And once we receive bids on these projects, we'll be able to appropriate the funding that goes to there, which we have a better idea of what other priorities will be able to be knocked off the list.
Yeah. glad to do that. So we can order this, and then we can, I think the most logical path to the discussion we just had is order it in context of proximity to the finish line, right? And then you'll be able to clearly say like, well, wait a second, why is 7 just sitting idle, right? Versus any other way for which it would just be kind of arbitrary and prioritization.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, I'll take that action. We have a motion, we have a second. Again, we're referring to item B on the 25-26 DDA budgets of 613, upcoming year starting 7/1/2025. Any other discussion?
Are the red items at the bottom, those are ones that weren't budgeted for and they're incremental spending over the budget?
So the red items were just either stuff that has been voted and passed in, this time of year, we're kind of between two fiscal years. So the cameras were voted for at a previous meeting, so I kind of put that red in there as a placeholder because we haven't brought it up or voted on it. For like the baseball, that's kind of what we've spent in the past. Fertilization program that hasn't been voted for yet, but that's what we spent in the past. And just kind of like placeholders for what's been spent in the past.
Thank you.
Any other questions, feedback? At the end of the day, our goal is to get this as clear and as strategically represented as possible. So I'm proud of the progress here, but if there's anything else you want to see represented in your future meetings, please speak now or send a note offline once you've had a chance to think about it.
So just a question about what you said about for the cameras hasn't been voted on. Are you looking for us to plan to take an action on that or get additional information?
I think we just got the bids, so it'll be coming at a future meeting.
Okay.
I think you guys voted for it at a previous meeting, but we didn't have the full scope of the pricing of how much it was going to cost. So we just now received the bids in, and I believe Bruce is gonna be here presenting at a future meeting the
He
different bids.
agreed to go out for bid, right?
Yes.
And he was in the process of procuring those numbers so he could present them to us.
Okay.
And it's a placeholder or potential spend of.
Yeah. And will be adjusted. I know he's gonna go through all the bids and everything. So, and then I can color code it differently if you guys would like just have black as what's voted for. Maybe red is stuff that might come up that hasn't been voted yet, and,
No, as long as we know red's a placeholder, I'm okay. with
Okay.
that. I don't think you need anything else.
yeah.
From my end.
I just picked red because it's bold and it's like kind of in your face, so.
Any other feedback for us as we think about making sure you're set up for success on your information? All right, we have a motion, we have a second, so I, at this point, will now call roll. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion has been carried. This evening, we do not have any unfinished business. We do not have any new business. For DDA Director's Report, a couple updates for you. One, if you watched our council meeting, our special meeting last Friday, I want to make sure I got you up to speed. So the high-level way I want you to think about this is we have looked exhaustively at how do we set the city administrator role up for success amongst the broader operation we have. One thing that we worked on with our administration was that city administrator position, number one, we've had challenges in, and that's firsthand experience. And some of those challenges may be attributed to the fact that the duties, according to our ordinance language, are very wide in regards to the responsibility. And you take those wide duties, and then you factor in that we have a quite exhaustive inventory of strategic needs that we've been trying to take ahead on. So with that, we worked with our finance director and our council and other parties, and we decided that the best path to set up this whole situation for success was to consider a part-time position up to 25 hours that would serve as a kind of a DPW director / project manager and engineer. I'm incredibly excited about this because the individual we're looking to put in that role is Mr. John Son. Mr. John Son has exhaustively poured his expertise, his experience, and his energy over the last many, many months into a lot of the projects that we're speaking of tonight, for example, and more. The role will be part-time. It will report to the city administrator. And the simple way I want you to think about it, and all this has been discussed exhaustively publicly, and I'm glad to follow up via email, but half of that duty is going to be overseeing the DPW work schedule. So making sure we have a clear prioritization of activities that are happening within our DPW on a day-to-day basis. And you can imagine that'll be intimately immersing with our DPW team to understand those needs and prioritize a clear, efficient, effective work schedule every week.
Will that person be on call 7 days a week for like water main breaks, and is he gonna distribute the workload?
We have other means of like handling those ad hoc emergency situations, right? Within our existing operation, we have many of those recently, but
don't need that person.
we don't need that person specifically on call per se, but they will be a part of this entire process, right? The idea is to have them driving a proactive schedule that is efficient and effective, and then having their expertise on what resources do we require to achieve that schedule. Do we have the right equipment and materials to achieve that schedule? Because it all relates to purchasing and other elements of this process. So that's kind of one element of the role. And then to Commissioner Bilk's point of view, obviously they'll play a role in emergency management, unexpected issues, but we have operational capacity to be doing that already because we do that in our current situation. The other half of the role is going to be, think about them as like a quarterback for managing a lot of our big strategic infrastructure projects. So I'll give you an example. As somebody who's now covering with Commissioner Cox, our city administrator position, amongst the broader duties I'm trying to look after in my mayor role, we find ourselves in a lot of meetings with professional service vendors, with engineers. And we want to make sure that somebody can have a quarterback position that has expertise and experience in that area to help facilitate the connection with those vendors as it relates to the projects that we're trying to move in the infrastructure lane. And Mr. Stant, as an example, has a tremendous set of experience and expertise in his career in doing that. So we're really excited about it because the way I want you to think about it in summary is it's a part-time position with a known expert with a lot of experience who has equity with our teams, including our DPW, who can serve as a right hand reporting to the city administrator, ultimately to council, as we look to fill the city administrator seat and thus the DDA director position here in this city of Gibraltar.
Are those hours gonna be flexible? They're not gonna like work Monday, Wednesdays and tell a builder, I can't see you till next
Yeah,
Wednesday
we're-
because I'm off the rest of the week?
You're spot on. We would hope for an element of flexibility, but also we want to make sure there's structure, right? So some of that structure will involve being there for the morning meetings, the DPW team, to have a clear work schedule. But yes, I mean, the devil's gonna be in the details, and we're gonna define that with the individual we're looking for. Commissioner Cox, anything you want to add?
No, I think that's accurate. I think we should be grateful for John stepping up to the plate and offering, after being retired for as long as he is. And he's almost worked full-time for us since, you know, as the mayor stated, being involved with projects. So I think this is a better opportunity to utilize that resource and have some accountability within those departments.
Yeah, I'm incredibly excited about this. I think it's unlocking a key to success for the long term for the city. We've made a ton of progress on projects over the last year and a half. This really helps make sure we set the city administrator position up for success in context of the operational needs we have and the large inventory I've shared with you all that we're trying to tackle.
So you're rewriting all the admin's roles, responsibilities, and the interview, what's expected of them because you're changing that role?
Not, I think that's overgeneralized, but like those elements will be ironed out, right? The city administrator has a position that's clearly defined by the ordinance language, right? We feel like this part-time position is taking on some of those pointed responsibilities we talked about, but ultimately the city administrator is still the manager, the overseer, the approver of that department. This just helps on a day-to-day operational basis, drive more check and balance, and drive less dilution in a system that has a lot of work to do.
This position reports to the city administrator.
Correct, yeah.
Right,
Still
so
responsible.
ultimately, the city administrator is.
Yeah, they're the ones that are signing all the signing off on all the aspects of this, just a right hand for that individual, that will help the operational success. Which brings me to the punchline of John, pending our work with city attorney and contracting considerations, we're hoping to have start June 24th. So less than a week. And we're very excited about that. Now, city administrator, we have over 100 applicants. We've shortlisted them, and we have 7 interviews that were public noticed. We have a short list of candidates we're deep diving on with council. That'll be a discussion we'll be having on Monday's council meeting, the 23rd. We hope these paths merge nicely, because then if you really look back, I think we've been quite expeditious yet cautious and thorough in regards to just trying to make sure we set the structure up for success. It's been a lot for Commissioner Cox, myself, Clerk Tomasic, Finance Director McEwen, all the personnel in the operation and manage day-to-day, but I feel very proud that we're managing it very effectively and we're making right, not rush decisions to set this up for the long term, so.
So the city felt that this is an incremental add to our budget. It's not within the old admin budget.
Correct.
So we felt we needed incremental resources.
Yeah, correct. And I think, you know, one of the obvious questions is, well, you know, funding-wise, I'm not going to go into the details of the budget and Finance Director McEwen, but the big picture is, as we've publicly shared numerous times, we've saved a significant amount of money over the last year and a half for the city of Gibraltar.
Big costs coming up.
I'm sorry?
We got big costs.
100%. So our logic is that I think this position helps find further efficiencies, and I'm glad to talk you through that, including professional services and vendors that we were historically paying a lot of money to, for which we can now internalize expertise. So glad to walk anybody through the details. I don't want the headline to be that we just are throwing money at a new position. We've exhaustively and methodically dissected this to make sure it makes financial sense. Finance Director McEwen is not an advocate for carrying compensation for employees long-term, right, in this situation, because it's a reoccurring cost. So we're very conscious of that, which is why we want to go the part-time route. And we think it's going to find more efficiencies financially that will pay for itself. Any other questions? It's a really important discussion to be had. I just want you to know what's happening around you for the position that will be joining you in that chair next to Clerk Tomasic, and the part-timer that'll be an integral part of the operation, including, let me just give you one last punchline, he's the individual that spearheaded the item on your bond list around the walking bridge. So in partnership with Clerk Tomasic, helped drive the RFP process and the ground-up work to get that project in flight and pushed to completion. He's the one that's
critical on the pump station.
critical on the pump station. He's been exhaustively at the ballpark with all the baseball field renovations that are taking place. He sits in our infrastructure advisory committee. I mean, he's donated a tremendous amount of time to the city of Gibraltar, and so I'm incredibly excited to have him in this role, and I think it will pay dividends. The other thing I'll just comment on, since we're in a DD director report capacity, all the fencing that you all approved, if you call it the barricades for the events that you all approved, those have arrived. Those are secured. And we ordered, like in the order of about $370, we ordered some slip-on, like slide signs that go on some of those fencings that would indicate like safety considerations or handicap considerations. So it's been a good setup that we will now have for our events, including 4th of July.
Where did we find storage for 'em?
Currently, they're managing it over in the DPW yard area. Keep me honest, Commissioner. Yeah, I believe.
Goodbye there to see it.
The footprint wasn't as large as we thought it was going to be. So currently in the DPW area, and they're looking at longer term, hopefully covered or insulated storage. Is there anything else? We're in DDA Director's Report. I just want to check in on those two items. Anything else in your mind that you wanted me to take away for this evening? Anything else you, Dad, since you've been so close to the day-to-day so far?
No, I think you've
Cool.
exhausted.
All right, tabled and referred items, none. So I'd be looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion. Second by Wood. All in favor?
All right?
Any opposed? Have an amazing evening. Thank you so much, everybody.